92. That's 0272, the code for Bristol, 267 992.
And we're just hearing now that we've had a caller who's already actually rung twice to say that he or she knows who that man disguised as a fisherman with the gun is in the Manchester Securicor raid. And the officer in charge, Mr. Knupfer, is anxious that he calls again, he or she calls again. Please, we do need some more details on that. Some more news on last month's programme. We appealed for information on a man wanted in connection with a number of thefts of lorries and their loads. Not as a result of Crime Watch, but of a routine check on a car. A man has been arrested and charged with theft and deception. And again, not due to the programme, a man has been arrested in connection with several building society robberies in Essex and in Scotland. He's now been charged with 11 cases of robbery and 1 firearms offence.
2 weeks after our last programme, there was a hold-up at a building society in London's Regent Street. Members of the public pursued a man onto a passing bus, where an off-duty police officer arrested him. The man has since been charged with 19 cases of robbery and 18 firearms offences. These include a robbery that we showed on Photocall, where a smartly dressed man produced a gun at a building society branch in Harrow. The man in custody has now, in addition, been charged with murder.
And you might remember the 2 child-sized Porsches, a BMW and a Mercedes that were stolen. A viewer from Middlesex called during the programme to say that he'd recently bought 3 similar cars from a man who'd been posing as a salesman with a brochure illustrating the cars to prove it. The 3 cars were delivered that same night. It seems they were stolen to order. So 3 of the 4 cars have now been recovered. The search for the thieves goes on.
Now that was a case from last month's incident desk. This month, can you help to find up to £1 million worth of antiques stolen from George Washington's house? In Kent, the attempted kidnap of a 14-year-old girl as she did her paper round. An unusual golf club which could lead to 2 building society robbers. And the mechanical toys which walked away from a museum in Kidderminster. With the details, here's David Hatcher.
First, we hope these clothes may help my colleagues in Kent to identify the attacker of a young girl. At about 7 a.m. on the 10th of February, a 14-year-old girl was finishing her paper round in the village of Pluckley near Ashford. As she walked up the front path of a house in Forge Lane, a masked man leapt from behind a pile of logs and hit her repeatedly with a piece of wood. The logs had been deliberately arranged to form a hide. Luckily, a woman walking her dog nearby heard the girl's screams and pushed the attacker off. He ran back into Forge Lane and we think he got into a small red van, similar to a Datsun or Astra. He's probably white, between 18 and 35 years old, and of athletic build. A major part of the investigation has been to trace the origins of these clothes which the attacker took off as he ran. These blue overalls were owned by British Rail until last year. They'd shrunk and were discarded. Where have they been since last October? Both this jumper with the lion and this black T-shirt had light-coloured paint spattered on them. This disposable lighter was found in the pocket of the overalls, and this spanner was found behind the logs, probably left behind by the attacker. Do you know who owns them? Thanks to the prompt action of the woman passing, the young girl wasn't seriously injured. But if the attacker hadn't been disturbed, we're certain the crime would have been even more serious. If you've any information, don't hesitate. Ring us now.